Am I the idiot for asking my boyfriend to charge his family member for fraud? Backstory: I, female 27, and my boyfriend, male 34, have been together 5 years and have worked really hard to save for a house. 2 weeks ago we fell in love with the house and we put down an initial deposit to hold the property. The house won't be built until the end of 2022. We have been in talks with a mortgage broker and the builder's finance people. Last week we received some shocking news when my boyfriend's credit score came back as being bad. There was activity on the statement that was 100% not his and a credit card that has gone into default over the last 6 months. This credit card was originally my boyfriend's, but he swears he closed the account and canceled the card mid-2019. Long story short, we discovered that a family member that was living with him a few years ago has gotten a hold of the card at some point and has been using the card on and off since 2019. They defaulted on payments in early 2020 but paid this off, then defaulted again in December of last year, and the account is still in default, and over $5,000 is owed in charges and late fees. Charges for shopping, news agency, takeaway food and pubs, gambling. My boyfriend has had zero knowledge of this as he hasn't had access to the account after he closed it, and hasn't been receiving statements or notices from the bank. The family member has diverted these to their address. We're now unable to successfully apply for a bank loan for our house as they won't lend to my boyfriend with his credit the way it is. Our options are to 1. Proceed with fraud investigations and charges in the family member, allowing us to prove this is of no fault of my boyfriend's and successfully secure the loan. Or 2. Boyfriend pays the debt, and we wait at least 2 years from the payoff date for his credit to regain some loss. Option 2 sets us back at least 3 years in starting a family and our lives as homeowners. This will also not allow my boyfriend to secure a bank loan to start up his own business he's been dreaming of starting for a few years. This was the year he planned on. This has devastated us and put a massive delay in our plans. My boyfriend doesn't like conflict and is going with option 2. He isn't even planning on mentioning anything to the family member. He wants it to all go away and thinks this family member is going through a rough time. I want my boyfriend to proceed with fraud charges and investigation. We have worked too hard to not have our dream house and him owning his own business. So am I the idiot for pushing my opinion on my boyfriend? Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. But is this really someone you want to build a life with, having this kind of baggage? He's willing to pay off a debt incurred by someone fraudulently, and not even address it with that person. What happens if this person does it again? He's already taught them there's no consequences if they spend money they don't have. And then it will be tied to you as well. You need to think long and hard about whether this is something you want to deal with long term. I do think it's odd he's willing to pay for it and not address it with the person that incurred the debt. Are you sure the person didn't have permission to keep using it as long as they paid the bill? Then the original poster responded with, I have had these exact thoughts and am still battling with myself on what decision I make going forward. Because I agree, I'm not willing to let this person potentially do this again, and it becomes my issue. My boyfriend swears to me he had no knowledge of this. He wouldn't have agreed to let this family member use the card as he knows this person isn't good with money. Comment 2. Been there, done that with a family member destroying my credit, stealing money out of my bank accounts, writing bad checks, stealing my engagement and wedding ring to pawn it. I had to pay to get out on the last day. He needs to report in order to fight with credit agencies and attempt to get these debts resolved. Also place a fraud alert and lock his credit reports so no one else can use his identity. Not the idiot. Then the original poster responded with, we have already put a lock on his credit so no more charges or inquiries can be added to his account. This person has also used my BF identity to apply for payday loans. The credit card account has been locked also, and the card has been frozen. I feel right now it's still really fresh. We've known each other for 2 days. I don't think my BF is thinking clearly. Because it's not just the credit card lowering his score, it's all the other inquiries that have been made too. He needs the fraud report evidence to fight the rest too. Now for the update. I want to begin by thanking everyone for their advice on my original post. There were some really constructive strategies and words of advice. I spoke with my boyfriend about my concerns and was honest with him that things he was telling me didn't all make sense. He was adamant he didn't know anything about the credit card or the apparent inquiries on his credit account about payday loans. My boyfriend is still refusing to open any fraud investigations against his family member and has said he will pay off the debt himself. But Some other things came out during our conversation that he was hiding from me. Lying has been a big issue of his during our whole relationship. In the past I have forgiven him for his lies, but I can't keep forgiving the same issue every few months when he promises to change, but we're in the same spot every few months. And I'm not talking little lies, I'm talking big lies and even bigger lies to cover up those lies. I know I'm stupid for giving him the benefit of the doubt, so in saying this, my boyfriend is now my ex-boyfriend. When I spoke with my boyfriend about my concerns above, he ended up picking up his bag and walking out on me and drove away. That was the last time I saw him in person. This is how this man dealt with an issue in our 5-year relationship. We haven't spoken much since, but I have definitely resigned to the fact my relationship is over. I think he is expecting me to forgive him like all the previous times. I have packed up his stuff and will return to him after my city comes out of our 6th lockdown. There is a good ending to this story though. I spoke with my mortgage broker and the housing developers. I can't afford the original townhouse I fell in love with alone, but a smaller townhouse that I also loved came available and I've been approved for this one. I paid my deposit 3 days before my birthday last month. I bought a house by myself. Comment 1. Good for you. The problem with a liar is that they never quit. You constantly need to keep an eye on them like some kind of child. That's not what you want in a relationship. Comment 2. Honestly, this is the best outcome for you. He was a waste of space. Congratulations on the new home. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for insisting my brother's girlfriend proves she's pregnant, or she has to move out? My 20 female brother, 24, has been on and off with his girlfriend, 27, for a couple of years now. It's been the same song and dance. They're happy for a few weeks, then something small happens, they argue. It gets really nasty, and they make up and go back to being a loving couple. When I learned my brother got kicked out of his apartment and needed a place to stay, I offered him the extra room in my apartment, and my brother agreed to pay rent, help with bills, and pitch in with food. For 3 months now, she's been announcing she's pregnant. She alone will eat a snack box with 50 small bags of chips in a week. I tried to reason with her and get her to cut back, not only from overeating, but she was running us low on food. But she insists she and the baby are healthy and it's just cravings, blah blah blah. Since last month, most of what my parents send to my house, my mom is a couponer, so she bulk shops and gives away what she has too much of. My brother's girlfriend is the first to get into it, and a large portion of it is gone by a few days to a week. From a 24 case of Monster, the energy drink if you're not familiar, 8 will be gone in a week from just her. She eats a hell of a lot of food too, most of which no pregnant woman should be consuming so much of, and yes, I know all pregnancies are different, but words can't explain how much she eats in one sitting. So, today I saw her drinking coffee, and after her second cup I asked her if she should be drinking so much, and she said her doctor told her it was fine and she had no worries. When I suggested she take on a healthier diet for the baby, she just scoffed and walked out. I went and asked my brother if he's been to any of her doctor appointments, or even seen a positive pregnancy test, and he said he didn't. I confronted her about it, and she said she didn't have to prove anything and started to get defensive. I told her she needed to show a test or some proof of going to the doctor, or she needs to move out as she doesn't help at all. My brother started defending her and changed his answer from not seeing any proof to seeing her pregnancy test. My parents got word of what I said, and my mom says I was in no place to say anything, and every woman's body is different, and I wouldn't know since I've never been pregnant. Am I the idiot? Edit. I did talk to her a while ago about getting a job as well as helping out financially, and she said she'd start and never has. Right, so based on the majority of the comments I overstepped, yes, but I'm going to go with my gut on this one and give them their 30 days notice and call it a day. I'll for sure update you guys in a month when they're to be gone and let you all, who's interested, know what's happened by then. I keep repeating myself. Let me add that my brother knows everything I've said, the excessive caffeine, no ultrasound, etc. Yes, my brother still buys her tampons monthly, and I know this because he goes with me when I buy mine. No, I was not faking concern by the coffee comment. She drinks 2 cups of coffee a day along with a Monster that's a ton of caffeine. Now for a few comments before the update. Kinda not the idiot. Asking for proof is extreme, but she's also eating you out of house and home. Even if she is actually pregnant, she probably needs to find a place of her own and get herself her own food. Do you really want a family of 3 living with you, when the mom and dad have a shitshow of a relationship? Spoiler alert, you do not. Then the original poster responded with, "Yeah, I see I was wrong for that. He said he only needed a few months to get back on their feet, and he'd get his own place again, so I wasn't worried about them still living with me in the future. Comment 2. Not the idiot, and if your mother is so concerned, maybe she should house your brother and his girlfriend. Now for the update. Okay, so I gave my brother and his girlfriend 30 days notice, and they were to leave this Friday, but as of last Friday, I have my place to myself again. Basically, they fed me a bunch of lies since I gave them the 30 days notice. First, it was, she can't get an appointment or an ultrasound because of all of the COVID patients. Then, my brother's GF showed me a sonogram picture from her phone that I later found on Google Images. I asked why it was on her phone, and she said it was emailed to her after her doctor's appointment, that she couldn't get. Then my brother brought home baby clothes last week, to sell the lie, I guess? But they weren't clothes for a newborn, it was a lot of 9 to 12 mo and 2T. When I asked him why none were proper clothes for newborns, he said, so he can grow into them. Was told she was pregnant with a girl. I didn't bother to ask any more questions because I knew it was going to be lies on top of lies. Then Friday, I got home to them arguing and at each other's throats. Eventually I called the cops because they weren't letting up. At this point they both had come clean with the truth. Brother's truth. His GF is the reason he was kicked out of his place, then she needed a place to stay because her parents kicked her out, so she forced him to let her stay in my house by faking being pregnant. He said after the first month he knew she wasn't pregnant because she got her period, but she forced him to keep up the lie, so I'd let her stay. GF's truth. Brother invited her to stay at my place, and to make sure I wouldn't say no, he told her to fake a pregnancy and I'd be sympathetic. Won't go into detail, but I'm 100% certain that part she said was true, and I wouldn't question her using tampons as he'll make up a lie for her. She said he told her to eat up all of the food because it'll make it all seem legit. So, that's about all. I'm still unsure who's telling the truth, but they both got all of their belongings and went their own way, I assume. So it's not my problem anymore. Comment 1. Great update. Glad you followed your feeling, you don't need the drama. It could have backfired, luckily it didn't. Comment 2. Thanks for the update, and obviously the trash took itself out now, and you have your home back, and you know either of them can ever be trusted. Comment 3. Yep, when I saw that she drank energy drinks while pregnant, I knew she was lying. I'm currently pregnant and never in my life would I drink energy drinks to harm my baby. I'm glad you got the truth out of them and the trash took itself out. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day. Am I the idiot for upstaging the bride and refusing to change my dress? So my female 27 cousin, female 29, is soon getting married. The thing is, our families have been in no contact for the last 10 to 12 years because of some issues between our fathers in total, for brothers who hated each other. The feud recently came to an end because all the kids are grown up now and we kind of want to keep our differences aside and enjoy the upcoming events. We all had a little reunion. This issue started with my cousin's engagement party. Now I want to highlight that I take good care of myself. I do yoga and dance to stay fit. On some special occasions, I love to dress up a lot. It makes me feel good and confident. My cousin is a doctor and due to her schedule, she has put on some weight, but I respect her because her profession is tougher than mine. I am an engineer. For her engagement, I wore a nice beautiful peach-colored gown. It wasn't a new one. This was a 3-year-old gift from someone. We are Indians and brides generally prefer to wear lehengas or saris. Even though we have reconciled as a family, my sister never involved me with her planning or anything related to her wedding, and I was totally okay with that. When me and my mother arrived at the location of the event, all was good, but the bride was late. People from the groom's side welcomed us nicely and I was feeling great. My cousin was almost 2 hours late, but when she arrived with her 2 besties, I could feel the tension between us rising high. To my horror, she was wearing a peach-colored gown exactly like mine, but it was more glittery. Only the bottom part of our dress was slightly different. She went on without acknowledging my existence. My mom noticed me but told me to relax as it was an accident and to enjoy myself. She went ahead to help my auntie with further preparations. I took a seat in the corner with my other cousin. When I was talking to him, one of the bride's besties came to talk. I thought she was there to invite me to join them, but she straight up told me to change my dress. I was speechless. I told her no because 1. There was nothing else to wear, and two, my house was several kms away, and it would take me almost 2 hours to do so. She started suggesting different options for buying a new dress, or she could lend me some clothes. I firmly told her no. My mom and dad were unaware of all this. She kept arguing with me but gave up. When the ceremony started, my cousin was looking fine and smiled at me because, in the end, she was getting engaged to the love of her life. We both got lots of compliments, and I thought the drama was over. But her friends kept giving me side eyes throughout the event, and today one of them tried to contact me on Instagram. The most hurtful thing was the fact that there was an after party thrown by the bride and groom for all the cousins and their special friends, but I wasn't invited. I kind of feel like an idiot. But I need an honest opinion. Not the idiot, but wondering why you felt the need to describe that you take better care of yourself than your cousin and state that she's put on weight. Especially if you say such things don't matter. What was your intent? Also, you said you like to dress fancy when going out. Was your dress in line with what other guests were wearing? You only describe it in relation to your cousin's dress, so I'm curious to know if other guests wore dresses as formal as yours sounds. And your own title claims you upstaged the bride. Why would you want to do that? Lastly, you said you lived several kms away, and it would take you over 2 hours to change. Exactly how many kms away, because 2 hours seems excessive. You can't upstage the bride and then be mad she doesn't want you at the after party. Changing my not the idiot to soft you're the idiot. Comment 2. Info: did your dress match the formality of the event? Were other women in gowns and men in suits or tuxes? Then the original poster responded with, there was no particular dress code for the event. Anyone could wear anything. Now for the update. Well, a lot has happened since I made the post here. First, I want to thank you all for giving an honest opinion. One thing that I noticed, all the Indians who commented on my post told me that I am not the idiot. Let me clear out a few things. I don't hate my cousin the bride. I am not petty or mean, and this dress incident was totally unintentional. Her friend said that I was upstaging the bride, which was not the case. During the ceremony, I tried to keep a low profile even though it wasn't my fault. I compared our looks and weight because it had been literally a competition between us since childhood to look better than each other, which was really childish and created more issues in our family. And I thought her friends were mean to me because of our previous issues. So for an update. A few days ago, my and bride's mom called my mom. They were having this general discussion about further planning for the wedding. Then my aunt told my mom that I would be beside the bride on stage during the wedding. It was a shock for me because it's like getting a maid of honor position. I quickly texted my cousin to thank her, and we talked for the first time after her engagement. We decided to meet up for a coffee. At the coffee shop, I brought up the topic of our matching dress, and she told me she was shocked at first but later totally forgot about it. I also asked her why she was choosing me over her friends to be on stage. She gave a few reasons why they are not punctual and irresponsible, and can be very demanding sometimes, and I am literally her family. As I mentioned, she was actually looking very happy during her engagement. She also told me that she was a bit disappointed that I wasn't there at the after party, and her soon-to-be husband was also asking for me. From her talk, one thing I know is that she is not aware about her friends being mean to me and lying about me. Cousin and I are on good terms. At the end, we ate some delicious burgers and had fun. I also showed her my dress, which I will be wearing at her wedding, super glittery light green color lehenga. I am still unsure if I should tell her about her bestie, or just let it go. I just want to enjoy the wedding without any further drama. Comment 1. Yay! Glad you two sorted things out. I personally wouldn't tell her about her bestie. There's no reason to add fuel to the drama, and it kinda sounds like she's aware of the kind of people her friends are. Comment 2. Let it go. Her friend was trying to look out for her. Maybe she did say something in the beginning and let it go but had not told the friend. You. 1. Comment 3. Not the idiot just ignores what her friends did unless they try to cause trouble at the wedding. Then tell her everything afterwards. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for refusing to invite my racist in-laws though they apologized? When my husband and I got married a decade ago, we had no money and so really couldn't afford much. My husband felt so bad about it all because unlike me he comes from money. But because his family was against our marriage, I'm Asian, he's white, they completely cut him off. For the record, I wasn't expecting financial assistance from them, but it hurt that just because I'm Asian, they thought I was with my husband only for the money. Naturally, we haven't had any contact with his side of the family since. Well, for our upcoming 10th wedding anniversary, we can now afford to splurge a little, so we've decided to have a vow renewal ceremony in style. Given how terrible it has been mentally for all of us over the last 2 years, we decided on a trip abroad to relax, have fun, and just enjoy a vacation with those closest to us. And because my parents wouldn't be able to afford to come otherwise, we've gifted the entire trip to them as a thank you for everything they've done for us. Somehow his family has learned that, hey, not only am I not a gold digger, but that my husband and I are doing well for ourselves and are about to celebrate our 10th anniversary. They reached out to us with an apology and an offer of a gaudy monstrosity of a ring to use for our vow renewal ceremony. I'm not interested in their token non-apology, and certainly have no intention of wearing something that's not at all to my taste just for the sake of familial harmony. Plus, my engagement ring was a gift from my mom. It was my grand's engagement ring that my mom also wore, so it has incredible sentimental value. My husband was behind me 100% until he learned from his sister that his grandmother was dying and that she wished to mend things with him. I reluctantly agreed to the visit, but made sure we came to an agreement on a few things beforehand, including how his family aren't invited to our vow renewal, and I'm not wearing their ring. Unfortunately, she passed away before we could visit, and his family have been hounding and guilt-tripping both of us ever since, trying to get us to invite them to our ceremony. I refused, but my husband's wavering. He kept saying they apologized, they haven't really, and that we could educate them. When he wouldn't let it go, I basically told him that since he's not Asian, he has no right to accept an apology and extend forgiveness for racism perpetrated against an Asian, and that it's not my responsibility to educate racists on why racism is wrong. And honestly, my parents shouldn't have to deal with racists on what should be a vacation. He said he understood and apologized to me, but he's been distant. I don't want to go ahead with our trip when things are so awkward between us, but everyone has already committed financially, and we can't afford to refund them all. And I'm now wondering if I'm an idiot for not trying harder with his family. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. It's pretty extreme to go from no contact for 10 years to let's all go on a vacation together. I think it's very reasonable to do the trip as planned with your parents. And if your husband is wanting to reconnect with his family, maybe start with lunch, not a vacation. Comment 2. Not the idiot. They never sat down and reflected on their racist judgment of you. They never learned anything about themselves and their preconceptions. They just waited too long to keep insisting they were right. Their change of tune is a reaction to your external circumstances, not their internal growth. Then the original poster responded with, and honestly, they haven't grown. Their apology didn't contain a single word of actual apology to me, just to my husband. Now for the update. Per your suggestions, I told my husband that our vow renewal is not the place for us and his family to have a reunion, given that this is to be a celebration of the past 10 years of our marriage, something his family had no part in and were vehemently against. If they wish to apologize and start over, we could meet for lunch or coffee after our trip. He then confessed to what some of you had guessed his family knew about the vow renewal because he kept in regular contact with his sister, and he told her to let the rest of the family know about the event in hopes that we could mend things. Since it's been 10 years, he thought they'd see they were wrong about me and wrong to cut him off. It was why he kept pressuring me to forgive them despite their lack of an apology or any show of change, because he hoped that if we all just met, things would work itself out, and he'd be welcomed back into the fold. The guilt over going behind my back and sadness over what happened was why he'd been so withdrawn. I was furious and hurt that he lied to me for a decade. It was a lie of omission, but a lie all the same, and while I understood clinging on to hope that his racist family would one day see the light, I couldn't understand why he never once asked for an apology from his sister, or if she was even sorry for the terrible things she'd said to me. I needed some time, so I moved back in with my parents. While I was gone, his parents and his sister came for a visit. Unfortunately, the reunion wasn't what he hoped for. They were completely unrepentant, and their renewed racist vitriol against me was worse. He also learned why they were so adamant about attending our vow renewal when they were still clearly against our marriage, as many of you thought. They just wanted a free vacation. As for the gaudy monstrosity of a ring, it was to be alone for just the duration of the ceremony. He was furious, and he kicked them all out, and this time he went full no contact. He profusely apologized for lying and begged me to forgive him for his stupidity. We're seeking marriage counseling, and though we still have a long way to go, we're definitely on the same page, especially with respect to his family. We've also decided to turn our trip into just a vacation. All of the guests understand and are looking forward to decompressing on a warm sandy beach. Oh, and his grandmother's will was an interesting read. My husband ended up inheriting a part of her estate, and best of all, she left the gaudy monstrosity of a ring to me. I'm not sure what to do with the thing. My friends are divided on whether I should offer to sell it to mother-in-law or keep it, and horrify them with the reality that their piece of history is being owned by an Asian. My husband doesn't care either way, and I look forward to your suggestions. Thank you all so much for your help. Comment 1. Keep the ring. Maybe grandma repented being a horrid racist. You'll never know now, but you can hope. And gaudiness can go in and out of style. If you have kids, maybe one of them will want it one day. Or you can donate it to a charity auction if it's worth anything. Comment 2. Dude, I would wear the monstrosity and take a million pictures in different outfits and different places, and then periodically post them publicly where at least the sister can see it, and pass it along that the evil DIL had their precious family jewelry. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day. Am I the idiot for telling my daughter that her not wanting kids is why I wanted to have more children? I, 42F, was a teen mom. I got married only a few weeks after I turned 18 and I gave birth to my daughter Kiara, 24F, the week before I was 19. I was a baby myself and I resented my circumstances, especially after my husband died. The only light in my life was Kiara at that time. It was me and her against the world. When Kiara was 13, she told me she didn't want to have kids because she was scared they'd have a childhood like her. That hurt me, but it's her choice, and I told her so. I started taking her to an after-school sex ed class. Her school didn't offer one, so she could learn how to be safe so she wouldn't be in a similar circumstance to me. She repeated the sentiment over the years even though she knew I didn't like hearing it. But that's okay, it's her choice. Nobody will force her. I got remarried the year Kiara graduated, and my husband and I have been trying to have more kids. A few months ago, I found Kiara crying really badly in her room and she told me she was pregnant by her fiancé. She told me it happened because she stopped taking her birth control. I know she didn't want kids, so I offered to take her to the clinic, but she just got more upset. I offered to take her to see a psychologist because she was so sad, but she refused. She was insistent on keeping the baby even though she admitted that she still didn't want kids and did not feel forced by her fiancé. So my husband and I decided to help her instead of having our own kids. I don't want a baby and grandbaby of the same age or a grandbaby older than my baby. Her pregnancy was terrible on her, and she told me many times this is also why she never wanted kids. A month ago, Kiara had a really bad argument with her fiancé and they broke up. Then a week ago, she miscarried. She's been inconsolable, and I know exactly how she feels. I've had a miscarriage twice. I've stayed by her side and taken time off work to do so. I've been very sad too because it hurts to see my baby in so much pain and not being able to help, but I've been holding in all my own feelings because they're not important right now. Then yesterday during breakfast she asked me if my husband and I were going to have kids now that she was never going to. I was taken aback by it, and I tried not to answer it because I don't know. She kept pressuring me and I cracked and admitted the only reason I ever wanted to have more kids was because she never wanted kids and I wished she did want them. Kiara said some very nasty things and called me an idiot. I felt so terrible I said that to her during such a bad time in her life, but I've also never lied to her, and I don't know what she was expecting me to say. My husband assured me I just had a stress break and I feel like he's right, but Kiara didn't say a word to me over breakfast today. Edit. Because I was recommended in a DM to add this in case somebody thinks I am violating Rule 11, the central conflict is not whether or not my daughter should have kids, it is whether I was wrong to say what I did. My daughter's decision about children is her own and I support her, and my decision is also my own. Nobody is forcing anybody. Edit. Maybe in a week I will give an actual update to let everybody know what happened and is happening, but for now I will let everybody know that things are going fine again at my home. Well, before we get into that update, here are a few comments. You're the idiot, either you want more children or you don't. Your reproducing should not be dependent on her choice not to, or down the road changing her mind and deciding to. Intentional or not, this entire scenario screams of emotional manipulation. Stop talking about either of your reproductive choices. Decide with your husband what you two want as a couple and make that choice outside of your daughter. Then the original poster responded with, My husband agreed with me that we wouldn't have kids if she was going to. It may not sound odd to you, but having children the same age as grandchildren is weird to me, and I do not want to take attention away from my daughter if she is a mother. I would rather be there for her than focus on myself. And I have never tried to manipulate her into having children. I know she doesn't want them, and that is fine. It is her choice. Comment 2. Clearly not the idiot. This is a delicate situation, because you have your own personal desires of having grandchildren, and she doesn't want her own kids. In my opinion, there's nothing wrong with wanting to have more children in order to raise the likelihood of having a large family. The important thing is that you never put the pressure on Kiara to fulfill that desire for you. That's A+. Kiara pressuring you to talk about your personal aspirations in regard to pregnancy/child rearing when she was feeling emotionally volatile was a poor choice on her end. It's not like you were going and telling her all of your plans while she was mourning. She pushed you to talk about it, and then lashed out when you were honest. So, because you were not pushing for Kiara to have children so your dreams of a large family could be fulfilled, and because you kept your plans to yourself while she was having a hard time, I don't think this is really your fault. It's your prerogative to have more kids if you're not done having children around. If she's upset by that, she needs to talk to a professional about her feelings and how to cope with them, not get mad at you for living your own life how you want to. Now for the update. So I wasn't going to do an update, but my husband told me I should since I was voted idiot. I ended up having a talk with Kiara and I told her I never should have said what I did, and I was wrong. Like many of you said, I clarified what I meant and told her she is my everything. I told her that I did not want kids for grandkids but just for our family to grow, but I would rather be there for her than focus on a baby myself. I told her I did not mean to put pressure on her because I have my own dislike for no generation gap because of my extended family in my home country. She gave me a smile and told me she forgave me and was sorry for what she said, so I forgave her too. She told me she was willing to see the psychologist now if I would go with her, so I said I would, and we booked sessions for after New Year's. But I still asked why she was having the baby when she did not want any. This time she was willing to talk. She admitted that seeing all her friends get married and have babies and being so happy made her feel jealous, and she had changed her mind. She got off birth control because of hormone issues and did not mean to get pregnant, but when she did, she decided to keep it. She said she was lying to me during pregnancy about not wanting to be pregnant because she felt like she was being a burden and felt she needed to push us all away. That did not make sense to me, but I said we will talk to the psychologist about it because she will know best. She admitted that she made up an argument and broke up with her fiancé because she felt like she was trapping him with a baby and he deserved better. She let me see their texts, and it is just him checking on her and her ignoring him. She told me she did not tell him she miscarried and is scared she will lose him forever if she does. I went with her the day after to talk to him and helped her explain the situation. He forgave her and they agreed to start fresh as long as they also go to counseling. Since then everything has been going well at home again. Kiara seems happier and had fun at our small Christmas party with her fiancé. My husband and I also discussed maybe fostering or adopting an older child since Kiara and her fiancé both announced at the party they will have kids. So thank you for teaching me the right way to say what I meant. Seeing my baby happy again means more to me than anything. Comment 1. Glad everything worked out, but damn, your daughter really seemed determined to derail her life because of that pregnancy. Hopefully the therapy can help her work through those issues. Then the original poster responded with, yes, we will be seeing the psychologist starting tomorrow. I am hopeful that things will get better. I know when I was pregnant I started acting oddly too. Comment 2. I'm glad things worked out and that you and your daughter are moving to improve on your issues. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for not wanting to sign away my rights? I, male 26, didn't know this woman that well when we first met through a dating site. She was 35 and according to her profile was single, never told me she was married. We went out on a few dates for 4 months until she told me she wasn't interested anymore. I later found out it was because her husband was getting suspicious and she needed to cut her losses. But a few months later she contacted me again and told me she was pregnant. It hadn't been that long since we slept together, and she confessed everything. Her husband still didn't know yet because she wanted to find out who the father was first. We did the prenatal paternity test and confirmed her baby is also mine. She had to tell him after that, and it was a poop show. He wanted to speak to me and called me crazy. She got him to leave me alone after telling him I never knew about her being married. We were both lied to by her. They're apparently trying to work things out, but here's the thing. Her husband wants me completely out of the picture and is willing to adopt my baby if I terminate my parental rights. He doesn't want me in their lives at all, and this is his only condition, or he's divorcing her and taking their 2 kids. Don't know if he can actually do that, but she's begging me to do this or it'll completely break their family. Neither of them are considering that this is my child too, and I want to be in my child's life. I said I would not, and it's causing all these problems. She's called several times telling me how badly this is hurting her family, and her kids are hurt and confused because her husband's temporarily moved out until this condition is met. She feels guilty for doing this to them but says she wants to fix her mistakes and make their marriage work if I could just do this. Plus to her, it's a sweet deal for me since I won't ever have to raise this baby or be responsible financially. I don't see it that way. I want to be a dad to my son. But it feels like what I want is hurting everyone else, like her kids. My close friends who know all this get I want to do right by my kid, but feel I should walk away from this messy situation as it'll always be a part of my life if I choose to be involved, and it's possible if her husband is willing to adopt my son after birth, he'll have a good life. Nobody else in my life thinks me being in my son's life is a good idea, and I don't know if it really is such a bad thing. She's due in 2 months and I don't know what to do. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot lawyer up, and I'd also suggest maybe asking r/relationships. You have a right to be a part of your child's life and legal advice will help you go through your options. She lied to you and in doing so set herself up for a stuffed marriage she can't use as an excuse to ostracize you out of your child's life. Comment 2. My stepfather raised me since I was 2. I am so grateful my bio father did not prevent her from moving to be with her new husband. That he did not fight her for it. I am grateful I did not shuffle between 2 homes. I am grateful my half-siblings are just my siblings. I never was left out of anything. I was raised with them, in a 2-parent home. It's something to seriously think about. Think what this kid's future will look like. You have legal rights, but at what cost? Now for the update. It's been a while since I posted this and a lot has happened since then, and by a lot I mean I finally became a dad. My son is healthy and beautiful, the most beautiful baby I've ever seen. One of the best things to ever happen to me, honestly, despite the drama. Thank you everyone who was helpful and encouraging in this situation. It felt good to know even with what everyone else was saying, I had a right to say no to my ex's demands and I'm not the one at fault for what happened. Several of you had suggested I talk to her about switching it around so that I could ask about getting full custody instead of being cut out if her husband had such a problem with me being around. Was a great idea and I feel pretty stupid for not thinking about it myself. So here's what happened. I decided to try again and contact her husband because throughout this whole time he was refusing to speak to me. But I just wanted to see if I could get through to him as a last resort. He agreed for us to talk and I was shocked to find out he'd actually changed his mind about accepting the baby 2 months ago, before I made the post. Originally, he did have the condition that he'd only take her back and adopt my son if I wasn't in the picture, but decided he didn't want to raise another man's baby. So she lied to me about him still having this condition, and this was just her attempt to try to fix everything even though he was planning on going through with the divorce. He was pretty mad about what she was doing too, so he was kind of on my side about it. Did get a lawyer involved and had another talk with her as well after he spoke to her pretty much saying he'd never take her back no matter what she did at this point. That got her to see trying to keep me out wasn't going to do anything. I brought up the full custody thing to see if that was something she wanted and she agreed. To her there was no point in having my son full-time with this whole divorce going on, and she doesn't even have her own place. He moved back into their house with kids and she ended up leaving. Going through with my attorney, I was able to establish paternity after my son was born so that I'd be legally recognized as his father instead of her STBX. As of right now, he's with me full-time but she still comes by to visit. Her life is a total mess right now with the divorce, and she's still pretty bitter towards me about it. It's not perfect, but I'm just so happy having my son in my life. Holding him for the first time, it made all the struggles worth it. It's definitely overwhelming doing it mostly on my own. But I don't regret how things played out. So thanks for the support and advice. It really helped make a difference when I couldn't see a way out of this without feeling like I was doing something wrong. Comment 1. Well done and congrats. I definitely wouldn't want my child being raised by that woman. She's bitter at you, even though it's entirely her fault? Is she paying you alimonies? Then the original poster responded with, she is paying child support, yes. I've learned to not take any blame that isn't mine to carry, so that makes it easier when she tries to act like everything happening right now is my fault. Comment 2. As much as it breaks my heart that the baby doesn't have a proper connection with his mother, he is better off with you. She gave all the children up, that's not a mother at all. Can't imagine not being my boy's mom, no matter the situation. Congratulations. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.